Hey, what's up you guys? Bree Renee here with another video. This time it's a tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to create this awesome background using the Liquify layer and also adding various color adjustments. The cool thing about this technique is that you can literally use any photo you'd like. And if you are in need of any stock photos, I'll provide a few websites in the description below. So you're welcome. And the cool thing about this tutorial is that I show you how to make this background without destroying the original image. So I still have my beautiful leaves, even though I liquefied it. So the way to do that is to do it in a non-destructive way. That means you're not destroying the original image. So enough chit chat, let's get started. So we're going to start by opening a new document. Don't forget to name it and choose the size that will work best with the work you're trying to make. I didn't have anything particular that I was trying to do, so it's fairly small, 1000 by 1000 pixels, and it didn't matter to me, so I started with that. And the next thing you gotta do is choose your image. I already had a stock photo set up, but of course you'd be looking for stock photos or regular photos that you have. And I chose this photo because I thought it had really cool contrast between the lights and the darks. So I figured when I liquefy it, it would look really cool. So I chose this, but literally any photo is fine. And if your image is too small, don't worry, just do what I did. Copy the image and merge the layers. Just make sure you cover the canvas completely, and then you merge all the layers together so it becomes one layer again. And when you liquefy it, you can't even tell the separation between the photos, so you won't have to worry about that. Now remember guys, we're going for the non-destructive way. So before we even consider liquefying the image, we will have to convert it to smart filters. So under the filters tab on the top, you will select convert for smart filter and then press OK. That way Photoshop knows that you don't want to destroy your original image. And now we'll select liquefy, which is also under the same filter tab. And that's when we get to the fun part. Now the liquefy filter is pretty cool. It has a lot of options. You could adjust your brush size, the pressure and the density of the brush, and that way you could create any sort of swirls you'd like. And also there's a bunch of options underneath there, because this is also the same infamous filter people use to alter their facial structures and their bodies, like on Instagram and magazines. So it's a very often used filter. So on the left side we have more options on the type of brush you can use. So there's a swirling effect, a puckering effect, bloating effect, and some other effects, but we're gonna focus on the very first brush because it's the easiest to work with. So I'm just gonna undo all of that and I'll get started doing what I want with the image. And that's basically what you do. You just do whatever you want. So when you start swirling around like crazy, you may notice that there are gray pixels showing up behind your image. That just basically means that you expose the transparent background, and you don't want that. So you just have to cover it back up with the brush, as I am doing. So do that. And don't be shy. Literally just do whatever you want with this image until you find what you like. So So you could alter the brush size, the pressure, the density to get whatever you want. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. And it might take me a while, so I might speed this up. And also when you're done with your liquefied filter, you'll have to press OK. And then it might take a while for it to render, so you just gotta be patient for that. So I'm just gonna speed this up before we go on to the next step. So I'll see you in a bit. And I'm back. If you look closely at the one layer, you can see that it's split up by the original photo, the smart filter, and the liquefied. So you can see how it's non-destructive. So what we're gonna do next is change the hue and saturation. So at the bottom, you'll see a little circle with a slant on it. So you would click that and select hue and saturation, and now make a separate layer just to change the color. And the hue and saturation panel comes with lightness, saturation, and hue. I said it backwards, but you know what I mean. So lightness, it changes how light and dark an image is. So if you want a completely black and white image, you could put the lightness slider all the way to the right and the saturation slider all the way to the left. That way you have completely black and white. And the cool thing about these sliders is that you can literally do anything with it. So you could change the saturation, how dark or how bright the image is. And my favorite part of all is changing the hue completely. And the hue slider is my favorite because it's a very large spectrum of the whole entire rainbow. So as you can see, all the way to the right and all the way to the left, you get the entire spectrum of colors, and you can completely select what you would like. I decided to go for a more saturated reddish hue. You'll see me get to it. I'm still playing around, but I liked it because it wasn't just all red. In parts of the picture, you can see that there are different colors. It's like, even though the slider is all the way to the green or the blue, you'll see that there's other colors that are in the image that you started out with. So when I pick my reddish hue, it also has orange tones as well as green. So I find that pretty fascinating and pleasant to look at. So I chose that. And once you select what you really want, you could check the preview button to see what your image looked like before and after you made the changes. And once you're done, all you have to do is hide the hue and saturation panel. And like I said, the cool thing about doing this non-destructively is that, let's say you change your mind and you want something different, all you have to do is double click and you could change the saturation, the hue, and the lightness all over again. So it's really cool if you made a change later in life. If you're making this for a client and they wanted the colors different, it's very easy to do it this way without going through all the hassle. Alright, you guys, I hope you like what I did so far, because technically I'm done with my tutorial. But if you stick around, I'm going to add a vector portrait I made and use the adjustments layer to make it match the background with hue. So please stay a while and you might learn some more. But here I go. I'm just going to go on ahead. I chose a vector portrait that I'm very proud of that I made a while ago. So I like to reuse it a lot. So I'm just resizing it to match the relative size of my canvas. And I realized that the portrait's not normally red. And that's because the hue and saturation layer is at the very top of the layers panel. And if you don't really understand the layers panel, it's basically like a sandwich. So whatever's at the very top is the first thing you see at a bird's eye view. So that means whatever you have on the bottom, you won't see at all because whatever's on top is covering everything. So if I want my portrait to not show like the hues of the hue and saturation layer, I would have to bring that specific layer to the very top. So that's what I'm going to do. And that way it will be on top of the layers and it won't be affected by the layers underneath it. So that was the solution to that problem. But then I came across another problem. When I was trying to change the hue of the portrait, it ended up also changing the hue of the background. So basically what I thought I was supposed to do was create a mask using a selection or whatever and then change the hue. But I realized you don't really need a mask. So what I ended up doing was deleting the mask but keeping the hue and saturation adjustment layer on top so that it was only changing the layer right below it. And instead of using hue and saturation, I decided to play around with other adjustment layers like the levels adjustment, which plays around with the highlights and the lowlights and the midtones of an image. So I played around with that until I found a hue, tone that matched best with the background. And I like to say I'm pleased with how it turned out. And I had a lot of fun playing around with these adjustments and creating this piece. So I would like to say this is the end of my tutorial. Just wanted to show all the different layers that I have going on, starting with the levels on the portrait, then the portrait, then the hue and saturation, then the liquify, and back to the original image. I hope you guys liked my video and learned from all my tips and struggles, from all the things I forgot added to and then figured out along the way. Honestly, I'm not very used to teaching others, and doing tutorials like this is pretty new to me. So please let me know what you thought of it and if you would try this on your own at home. And I also wanted to say a quick thank you for all of you guys that stuck around after my original tutorial ended. And I hope you guys liked how this ending turned out when I added the vector. And as always, please like and subscribe below. There's a notification bell if you want to check out whenever I have a new video coming out. And I know a lot of you guys that check out my first 3 videos know how my outro goes. So until the next video, peace out.